Hey everybody, how are you? I hope you're having a great day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Mike Geller. I am a distinguished architect with Radware. After a 25-year career at Cisco in the security business, I am delighted to be here with you today. Today, we're going to focus on how to secure your business from escalating DDoS related to ransomware and extortion attacks. And what you're going to find is that we are partnering at an OEM level between Radware and Cisco and creating some really, really amazing extensions of the Cisco Secure capability with denial of service, with web application firewall, with Kubernetes WAF, with protecting APIs, and with bot management. All of these things put together are rounding out the Cisco Secure security portfolio, especially as it relates to ransomware. So how are we going to do this today? We're going to do this today by taking a perspective on DDoS. So looking at network and data center resiliency, looking at how to granularly distinguish legitimate traffic from malicious traffic. How do we know? How to maintain application and network visibility during an attack, and how to keep them available. The net of it is we need to have a tool that allows us, from a Cisco Secure perspective, to guard against your attacks against the network, combining an on-prem and a hybrid or on-prem plus cloud perspective that we call Cisco Secure DDoS, making sure your applications and the networks that deliver them are protected all the time. Now, the next thing you look at in the middle is the Cisco Secure WAF and bot. That's where we focus on the availability of the application, data integrity of APIs, how to defend against web, mobile apps, and APIs from different attacks, how to ensure application availability while protecting your data, how to make sure that everything is within the rules of compliance. And finally, we'll look at the application delivery controller, ADC, to look at encrypted traffic, provide service chaining for different capabilities, provide full layer 4 to layer 7 services. And all of these different services are available for you on the Cisco Secure portfolio. And to get more information about them, you'll see links at the bottom of this slide. So when you receive the slides, go take a look. Now, when we think about DDoS overall, you're talking about the addition of taking a globally coordinated botnet or group of attack computers, properly coordinated over a process we call command and control, throwing 2 terabytes plus at your poor resources in your enterprise. And when this happens, the result is loss of revenue, loss of reputation to your customers. Why? Because if data gets exfiltrated from your business and customers lose confidence in you, then it's going to be very, very hard to recover. Sometimes it can even lead to the closing of your business. That's terrible. So what can we do? What we do is to protect your enterprise perimeter and the services that run there. And by the way, that perimeter is no longer just the 4 walls of your building. It might be the cloud. It might be on-prem. It might be all combinations. But the enterprise perimeter is this kind of amorphous thing that when we look at how we work with it, we want to protect the network and we want to protect the applications that provide that critical front end to your business. Now, you think about it and you say, all right, our clients are really, really worried about ransomware. What can they do? What can the Cisco Secure portfolio do to help them? Well, let's answer that question. We're going to look at it in terms of, is cyber insurance enough? It's a good thing to have, but often is not enough to get you to where you need to be from a full protection perspective. Does having a backup of my data really solve the problem? As you're going to find, it solves part of the problem, but not all of it. Do I have the appropriate people, process, and tools that I need to be able to go and make sure that I've got the right things in place to protect myself? So we offer a tabletop exercise where you can actually go through the process and assert where you are. If you do get under attack, how do you stop that attack from happening? How do you handle the incident? How do you do the incident response component? We're talking about that at the end. Then how do you test for vulnerabilities in this respect? And finally, you look at it and say, well, by these other points, you've already seen that you've got a situation where we have to have this whole broad defense in depth capability. It's never just a God box. It is a capability where I can go and say, it's these things all in a row that help me be better prepared today to see what's coming, to react to what's coming, and to be better prepared tomorrow. So when I go in and take a look, first I'm going to look at the ransomware threat model itself. So when you think about this, the threat model has a number of components. The first one is initial access. Maybe it's a spear phishing link. And what you're going to find is that many of these different threats have representative controls that we provide in terms of the Radware plus Cisco, or the Cisco Secure branded security offers. Now, then I might look at how the malware is going to execute. In other words, how's it going to infiltrate? How's it going to get in? What's it going to attach itself to? Finally, I'll look at how's it going to move laterally. Sometimes it's the case that the ransomware will actually come in, the malware will come in, and what you're going to find is that it'll get in there, but it's not going to do anything for a little while. We call these advanced persistent threats, and they sit there, and that's why having your network so properly segmented is so important. Because you look at it, and if I can discover accounts, I can discover the appropriate processes to take advantage of, different remote systems, and then I can look at different controls that might be in place and how to evade them. Do I use encrypted traffic? Do I compile the code so it's a lot more difficult rather for things like antivirus and systems to be able to find it because it's compiled in an executable, all different kinds of things like this. For the threat model, then we move over to the defense model. In other words, we now know what the threats are for ransomware. How do we actually take care of it? What do we do? Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at figuring out ways for the initial access to be much better locked down. So am I going to use an email security appliance or service to be able to make sure that things like phishing and bad links and files attached to email don't become a problem? Then I have different controls, whether it's advanced malware protection, antivirus, other capabilities that will allow me to take care of things on the execution perspective from the malware. Then I need to have segmentation capabilities that Identity Services Engine provides for lateral movement, combined with endpoints that can take policy there and give me a much more scalable way to handle the problem. I then look at working with credentials. And what does that mean? That means that I need to be able to mitigate things like credential stuffing attacks and different capabilities that you see here where I can use to take advantage of vulnerabilities to access credentials. But here I'm taking the appropriate controls to protect those critical credentials and deal with that accordingly as part of the overall system. Then I'm going to utilize like the SSL encryption capability where I'm inspecting encrypted traffic, decrypting it, applying a service chain of capabilities, and re-encrypting it, moving that traffic on its way. There are a number of different capabilities that we have here. So you look at this and you say, well, this is all good. So now I understand I'm being held ransom. I could be asked for payment. What do I do? How do I do this? How does it work? Well, first thing you might do is you might say, okay, Cisco, how do you go and do this? Is there a playbook? Is there a run book? Well, yes, there is. And that run book, it comes from the SAFE work that we've all put together and takes a lot of these controls that are on the left and applies them in a systemic way to solve many of the problems in security operations, in terms of endpoint security, and a combination between both third-party capabilities and Cisco capabilities. And you see a lot of that incident response and threat hunting being rolled up into the SecureX capability that's referenced at the bottom on the left. Now, let's get into a little bit more about DDoS attacks and ransomware. So hopefully none of you have had this experience yet, but you could. And the pattern here is the following. You get an email from a group, Fancy Bear, the Lazarus Group, Armada Collective, and there are global campaigns, one in August, one in December, one in May, and you're looking at these different capabilities where you're going to get an email that says, listen, I'm going to DDoS your network. What does that mean? I'm going to throw 2 terabytes, 1 terabyte, XYZ amount of bandwidth toward your network as a warning shot, just to show you what it might feel like if you're under attack. Oh, by the way, at the same time, I'm going to, I may have already infiltrated your network with malware, and I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a teaser to show you some data that I was able to exfiltrate and what we could potentially do to you from a publicity perspective. And to make your life even better, if you want to not be attacked tomorrow and not have this disruptive influence on your business, I'm going to give you the opportunity to pay me in this link at a certain number of Bitcoin to be able to go ahead and avoid the pain. Now, do you pay the ransom? The answer is no, you don't. But you have to be properly prepared. And this is what the purpose of this talk really is to get you prepared, to know what ransomware is, to know what the kill chain looks like, and to know what to do. So you get an email like this. Okay, you got it. Now, there are sort of a triple play here, to steal an overused US phrase in baseball. The triple play is this. The criminals can use DDoS attacks and combined, a volumetric piece combined with a low and slow piece, which might allow you to insert malware to attack different applications while you throw the volumetric attack at the network, saturating the pipe toward those enterprise key workloads, and making sure that you not only have the pipe saturated, but we exploit vulnerabilities that we know in the systems that you run and potentially exfiltrate data. So I can encrypt data on key systems. I can cause the leaking of that sensitive data. And not only can I threaten you with the leaking, I'm going to show you in advance on dark web websites what that threat's going to look like should you decide not to pay me the Bitcoin and the ransomware. So that's the ransom, I should say. And finally, the DDoS attack to make this really kind of, to take this home for you. Now, you look at it and say, all right, hit that. Now, from a credential stuffing attack perspective and a brute force account takeover, this is one of the ways that the ransomware initially gets in. The cool thing is that if you're properly deploying Umbrella and you're deploying the proxy and you're deploying the firewalling and you're deploying the email security and you're deploying this configured properly with the people, process, and tools that we need, and you have a hybrid deployed, some in the cloud for the volumetric part and some on the prem for some of the lower and slower stuff, and you have them able to talk to each other, well, all of a sudden, now I feel like I'm much better prepared. And when I say that you don't pay the ransom, well, we hope that you're in the position, if you work with us, to be able to get into that position so that you be protected today against that attack if you're under attack right now and tomorrow going forward. Now, if you think about it, some of the other initial access plays are attacks on the supply chain. It's not a secret to anybody here that the supply chain is a vulnerable place where we need to protect accordingly. We know via critical events that we need to focus there. Now, interestingly enough, ransomware is a business. There's a whole MSSP style, managed security service provider style marketplace. So there are outbound partners that will find enterprise customers that are vulnerable, governments, enterprises, whomever it may be. Then there are people that go behind them and they will actually produce the malware. They'll coordinate the botnets and the DDoS attack. And what's really interesting here is that you're in a place now where there are literally spiffs. You know how we all sell, and you can have spiffs for successfully selling. Well, they have the same kind of thing where in ransomware, these external partners are paid a fee for each customer that they recruit into the program and that pays the Bitcoin, that pays the ransomware. Look at the numbers in the middle of these slides, and the numbers are crazy in terms of this. So just know that this is not a one-player activity here. There's a whole business behind ransomware, not just in terms of malware, but in terms of coordinated DDoS attacks for ransom and attacks on key inventory aspects of your e-commerce and credential stuffing attacks in terms of bots. So you remember that we took that combination of Radware capabilities and we've OEM'd them to Cisco as Cisco Secure DDoS WAF bot and ADC to make the ability to protect you as a customer even that much easier and that much more relevant. So I was talking before about some of these ransomware PR sites. Doesn't that look familiar? That MacBook on the right, on the bottom? Yeah, look at that. It does. So these photos leaked the new design for the MacBook Pro, and you see you get the gist here. Maybe you're a car manufacturer and somebody goes and says, just to prove to you that we have access to whatever we need in your business, I'm going to show you the next generation 2022 electronic car that's coming out. Here it is. And these are pressure techniques that the ransomware folks will put on the enterprises just to prove that they have the capability to do what they're threatening to do. So you look at this and you say, all right, well, from a DDoS perspective, what can I do? I have the ability to take the Cisco Secure DDoS capability and only run it in the cloud, either on demand or always on. All on demand means I have a trigger-based system. Always on means I have traffic that goes to the cloud all the time and then is scrubbed and comes back downstream. And the on-prem flavor that has the ability to talk to the cloud-based flavor to provide this hybrid solution where think of it as like you're having a security guard at each end of a hallway and they can yell to each other, hey, did you see this? Yes. Did you see that? Oh my goodness. Okay, here we are. So that's how the DDoS system works. Now, you think about this a little bit further and you say, all right, I get it. Okay, if I have this protection in place, I can do the right thing. But I'm getting attacked right now. What do I do? Well, the first thing you do is you come to your Cisco rep or your Cisco partner and you tell them that you're under attack and we will onboard you into the emergency DDoS attack mitigation system. And that will allow you to get your business onboarded, get your critical assets protected, get the appropriate traffic redirected either through BGP or through DNS. And we will then finally take a GRE tunnel and bring it back for the to inject the clean traffic back to your enterprise once the scrubbing is done. People get attacked. You can't always be protected. Maybe this is not something you have thought about in great depth yet today, but the Cisco Secure portfolio for adding the DDoS protection like this on immediate onboarding allows us with a network of 8+ terabytes of 14 different scrubbing centers located around the world. You see the map in the middle. And what we then will be able to do is our ERT or our emergency response team is capable of walking you through the whole process just to make sure that you have it right. Now, what you see under more information on the top left is the ability to go and find out more by sending an email to emergency-DDoS services at external.cisco.com, as you see on this slide. So it's emergency-DDoS-services at external.cisco.com. We will help you out immediately. We will get you onboarded. Then you'll become protected going forward. And life's a lot better in terms of both having the denial of service aspect protected, your critical workloads and applications protected, your inventory and customer data protected, and your credentials properly protected. So today what you found is you found a new aspect of the Cisco Secure portfolio. We learned about denial of service. We learned about web application firewalling. We learned about application delivery and control. And we learned about botnets and protecting APIs accordingly. I hope you have a great day, and we look forward to hearing everybody. Take care. Thank you. Bye.